Welcome back in as we continue with the Action Line this morning. Our focus is on our local university, MTSU, and Dr. Colby Jubenville joins us. And I kind of teased Paula about having a long title, and then I see yours. Special Assistant to the Dean for Student Success and Strategic Partnerships in the MTSU College of Behavioral and Health Sciences.
Yeah, that title's got me a lot of awards just by the title alone, so I'm lucky to have it.
Oh, my goodness. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. They're making you earn your money today, aren't they?
Well, yeah, that's what happens during the summertime and vacations and trying to get it all in, I guess, before school starts back.
Well, we appreciate the opportunity for you to feature the university. I continue to be fortunate to be part of a place that truly has been transformed through the leadership of Cindy McPhee. And appreciate the time to be here to talk to you a little bit about what we're doing on campus.
How long have you been at the university?
I have been here since 2001. I remember my wife Katie and I still laugh about coming on campus for a football game, our first football game, and there was probably 15 cars in the parking lot, and it was right at that transition from where we are to where we are today, and just to see where we are today and the true growth, I think speaks volumes about the leadership and the change that's taking place on campus.
I think you're kind of unique in the fact that people may know you from MTSU, but they may know you from speaking engagements to, you've authored a lot of books to working with their businesses. So you're kind of a unique individual in that aspect.
Well, I tell people, I'm fortunate to live in Murfreesboro. You can sell used chewing gum and make money. So between there and Nashville, if you just show up and have something just a little bit of important to say, you can find a little success. So we've been fortunate to live here and be a part of this place.
What, out of everything that you do, specifically, you actually do get down with the students and on that level. And is that the most rewarding part of your job?
It truly is. It truly is. And, people ask me all the time, they say, hey, why do you continue to stay in higher education with all these other things that are going on? And the response that I give is something to the tune of, I've seen people make a lot of money. I've had a chance to make a lot of money myself, but the real satisfaction, the real opportunity that I think you have in life is when somebody looks back at you and says, because of you, my life is better. And so that one idea is what drives me to continue to try to build what I'm building on the campus of MTSU, because I think it's so important. And it really boils down to this one simple idea, and it comes from my good friend and mentor, Joe Calloway, who said, be the best at what matters most. And what matters most to these kids, it's the same thing that matters the most to you, to me, to everybody that's driving in their cars today. It's how do I create a bigger future? How do I create an opportunity for myself? And so this center that I've built on campus that's focused on coaching and success is really driven by this idea that there's a difference between employment, which is trading time for money, and gainful employment, which is where you get some kind of psychological benefit by being part of the work that you're doing. And so that's where we start every conversation when people come to our center. And we're right in the middle of a renovation project. We will be open hopefully in August. We're going to be in the Bell Street building. And so I've built a framework that continues to drive that success and that change that has to happen for every student on a college campus. And that framework, that we call it the 5 to Arrive. The 5 to Arrive. And so I took that from a guy named Jim Rohn, who said something like this. He said, the same wind blows on all of us. It's the wind of change. It's the wind of failure. It's the wind of success. It's the wind of opportunity. But it's not about the blowing of the wind. It's about the set of the sail. How do you set your sail? Well, you do two things. You correct the errors of your past, and you set new disciplines for your future. And so I built a framework around 5 key ideas that drive that change within people.
And this is really, I guess, birthed from that idea. This year is the Center for Student Success and Coaching, and you say there are renovations going on at Bell Street. This is going to be your home? It's going
to be our home, yeah. So I've done this. The person that committed, there was one person here in town who wants to remain anonymous until a certain amount of money is contributed. But he understands my passion and understands the success and the vision. Anytime I get an email from a student that says, "Hey, Dr. Jubenville, do you remember me?" You know, this one kid, he sent me an email. He said, "Yeah, you may not remember me. I was the kid that had a bad haircut and even worse attitude." You know, and now he's very successful in the sport industry. And so I would send those to this guy over the years and just say, "Just want to share this with you." And then when I saw the opportunity to take all these different pieces and put them together, I went to him, a local businessman here who really believes in education and its growth and the way that it can change people's lives. And he committed a $1 million gift to MTSU. And so that was the genesis and the catalyst to get this thing started. And that was in November. And so we've built the pieces out. There's still a couple of pieces that have to be built out, but the majority is built out. They'll be ready by the end of summer. And I'm excited. Those key pieces are, the first key piece is something called the self-directed, self-selected coaching model. And so I teach students through this model how to turn learning into action. Then the second piece is around personal branding that I wrote with Dr. Don Roy, my colleague over in the College of Business. The third piece is called Grind Your Bee, and it's an emotional intelligence piece. The fourth piece is going to be on persuasion. And the final piece is a very intentional relationship with our Center for Career Development.
Dr. Colby Jubenville is joining us in studio today. We're talking about the new Center for Student Success and Coaching at MTSU. It's going to be in the new Bell Street Center, which is, great to see the university sprawling out through this community even more, and that's going to be a tremendous asset here to our community as well. One thing that I find interesting about going into the workforce after you've graduated, you've got your degree, you're going out there, the mentality is it's almost like traffic, like you're in the on-ramp and you get in the on-ramp and you're following the same flow of traffic as everybody else. Mm-hmm. And it seems like to me what you're saying is, how do you stand out? How do you get out of that traffic jam? Yep. How do you make yourself set yourself apart from the others? Yeah,
I call that traffic jam the big lie. And the big lie is this. The big lie is if you go to college, you're going to get a job and everything's going to be okay. And you know as well as I do that that's not true.
Sure.
So the question then becomes, if we have this responsibility to make sure that we provide a framework for these students that can drive that change and success, how do we intentionally go about doing that? And so this is a college-wide initiative in the College of Behavioral and Health Sciences. Terry Whiteside is my dean and continues to support what we're doing. But it's focused on, here's the point. It's focused on this simple idea of, number one, helping students find their voice, which is the intersection of talent, passion, conscience, and need in the world. And then the other thing that it's focused on is teaching them how to protect and maintain their confidence. I have found in my 20 years of doing this, if you will teach people how to find their voice, if you will teach them how to develop and protect and maintain their confidence, even the ones that you thought could never accomplish something have the greatest success.
What about those who have, I guess run the rat race here for 5 or 10 years, mm-hmm. And find themselves in the situation that they hope to not be in? They want to stay above the fray and above others, but find themselves down in that traffic jam.
Yeah.
How do you help those folks?
Come to graduate school at MTSU. We can help you too. That's part of this model that I've created is the first part of the model is about innovation. And innovation in this model means you go first. And it's you go first to where? It's you go first to the career you want to create for yourself, the life you want to create for yourself, the opportunity that you want to create for yourself. And I would argue that today, more than any other time in the history of the world, we have access, access that is unfettered right there in front of you. The information is right there. It's this little thing called Google, and you can find about anything that you want. And that's where I start with people. What is it that you want to accomplish?
That may be the hardest question people are asked.
It is, and so that's why we intentionally work with we've got a great career development center on campus, and so there's a series of assessments that they complete, that students will complete, and the concept is framed up like this, and this comes from Phil Dodd and his work in the Center for Professional Excellence, but he says good things happen to known people. Good things happen to known people. Known people feel their feelings, tell the truth, and give it up to what could be. All that is saying is, before you can go out and become gainfully employed, the very first thing that you have to do is know what gainful means to you.
You know, it seems to me that kids come in, they're at MTSU, they have in their mind the field of study that they want to be in, but you know, with anything that's so broad.
It is.
It has to be narrowed down, and I think this offers an opportunity to help narrow that down to what specifically do you want to do.
Yeah, it's indeed specific. And so what we know about students learning is that true motivation happens when you make it specific. Every one of the courses that I teach is all built around the individual student and the career path that they want to create for themselves. Here's what we know. It's called reality, and it's the second phase of the model. Here's reality. Every day you wake up in a leadership or management role and you solve problems and make decisions. That happens every day. That's what you get paid to do. The way that you solve that problem and make those decisions create the results that drive the industry, the organization, the change forward. Those results will define one of three things: whether you move up in your career, you move down in your career, or you stay right where you are. And right where you are is called the Peter Principle, and we all rise to our highest level of incompetence. That's where I start. That's what the Peter Principle is. That's where I start when I explain this model, is let's talk about reality first. You are going to be solving problems and making decisions every day of your career. How you solve those problems and make decisions will define the results. Those results will define what you do in that career. Once that light bulb goes off for the kids, it's so simple to walk them down that path, because then I'll say, now tell me this, in your formal education or informal education, has anyone ever taught you how to systematically solve problems or make decisions? And the answer usually is no. And so this model is built around teaching kids, students, how to build effective problem statements, and then teaches them effective problem-solving models that allows them to solve the problem and make the decision.
Do you see, and Dr. Colby Jubenville is here with us to wrap up, do you see kids today different from back in the early 2000s when you first started this? I mean,
No.
their mentality, their work ethic, are they different today?
The short answer is no. Look, hey, there's a lot of people making a lot of money talking about the millennials, and I get that. But I remember, all you got to do, if you sit in that educator's chair, is to remember what it was like to be 19 years old, scared to death about your own future, and knowing that it was on you, it was on your back to figure it out. And so if you look at the research, if you look at the studies, if you look at what works, there was a study out of Georgia Tech, and it said the factor in wellness and well-being, spiritual, financial, academic, career, social well-being, the one factor that showed some kind of significant change was, did the student have a relationship with a mentor, with a coach, with a faculty member? Because it's that one relationship that changed everything around them. And so once I read that, I said, I'm going to make it my life's work to continue to build those relationships. So that's what's changed. You can't start off by saying, what do you want to major in? You got to start off by saying this: what has to happen 18 months from now for you to feel good about having a relationship with MTSU and me? Answer that, and then every decision that we make will drive that forward.
Well, I know it's getting harder and harder for me to remember what it was like at 19.
Yeah, me too. But I got a 14-year-old now, so I can remember that at least. When I see him, I remember myself.
Still playing ball?
Mine?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he's a golfer these days.
Oh, okay.
So, I told him, I said, Jack, son, you've picked a sport where hustle is just not part of the deal, and I've built my whole life on hustling, so I don't know how you're on your own with that one to go figure it out. But he's out there practicing all the time. I'm proud of him.
That patience goes a long way in that.
And I don't have much of that either.
If someone would like to get more information about the Center for Student Success and Coaching, what do they need to do?
The best thing to do is to call me. That's truly the best way to get together. 615-498-6802. If you want to email me, it's a whole lot. It's colby.jubenville at mtsu.edu. colby.jubenville at mtsu.edu.